Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
About the secure web authentication app integration with Okta and why we are going with the SWA app integration with Okta. And we have seen something related to the system logs, how we can query the system logs, and what are all the things that you can able to verify or you can able to get from the system logs. And also we have seen the predefined reports available in Okta. For example, if you want to get the list of users who is part of the one application, you can go ahead and download a report for that. And you can able to download a report for some password. Health of the users, all the users, that is available. And how you can query the manual system logs, which means if let's say if you want to get some system logs specific to one application or specific to one event like app sign in or sign into Okta, something like that. If you want any specific event, how you can do that? We have seen that yesterday. Any questions, any queries on that? Fine, now we'll talk. Another thing, we have an option to download the customized report. For our requirement, customized report in the sense, let's say you want to download all the list of users with all their attributes, with the configurations. How you can do that? And if you want to download all the list of policies that is configured in Okta, how you can do that? You don't have an option to do it from the Okta admin console. That is not possible for you. What you need to do is you need to install a plugin. There is a plugin called Rockstar. Do you know about it? Rockstar. I don't care. That is a plugin tool that is available in Google. With the help of the plugin, you can able to download or you can able to get whatever the informations that you want. Actually, I don't have an option to do it because something is not supporting for plugin for my browser. Is it possible for you to share your screen? I can tell you the step-by-step thing that you want to, how you can configure that. Now go to Google homepage, Google page search page. I can mention Rockstar plugin. Rockstar Okta plugin, the first one. No, scroll down. Chrome Google, add to Chrome. There you can see. In the top left, you can see a small window pop up right left side, left side. I'm saying that one, that only Rockstar, that is your Rockstar window. If you want, you can minimize it. There is a minimize button right. You can minimize it if you want. It's just expanded as of now. Now let's say you want to get the list of users who is part of, let's say you want to get all the users, attributes and list. How we can do is keep this open, keep this Rockstar, this like this window like this. Go to directory now in Okta console, go to people. Here, now you can see the window got refreshed automatically. You can see an option called export users. Right click that export users button and you can see the list of attributes that you want to download. These are the attributes that you can select and you can download and you can configure it based on. For example, if you want to mobile name, city, street address, all those attributes. Also, you can select whatever the attribute that you require. Select whatever you want and click export. In the bottom, you can see click export. We'll get the CSV file here. You can see all the list of attributes that you have selected has been populated here. You have selected mobile phone, that is updated. Primary email, you have selected last name, first name, username, status, entry you have mentioned. All those information has been downloaded. And if you want more attributes, you can go ahead and select that. You can do for n number of users. There is no restrictions. Actually, let's say if you want to download 1 lakh plus users data, you can go ahead and do it, but it will take some time. If you want to download 1 lakh plus users it will take some time for you to do that. And let's say you want to download the group membership group attribute details. Click the group tab in Okta Groups tab and you can see an option export group with users, app and counts. Export group rules, App Explorer, everything is available. If you want to export just group rules alone, you can click that export group rules and you can download it. And if you want group membership, only one group rule you have. That has been downloaded as an Excel file. And let's say you can select the fourth option, export group with user and app counts. It will say what is the group and what is the user that has been assigned to that group and what is the app that is integrated with that group. All this information. Can you open that? Totally, you can see. I think you have totally 1, 2, 3, 5 groups available other than everyone. In that, all those are Okta groups. And total 11 users are there in every one group and 11 users are there in Okta Bamboo group. And you have added only Okta Bamboo app group to an application. That's why it is mentioned app count as 1. And you haven't added any other group to any other application. Actually, this is it's like an external component that we are using to download the report from Okta. Okta, we don't have any customization option to download all the details. It is very difficult to do it. Either you can do from Okta API or you need to do with this plugin, Rockstar plugin. No other options are available. And let's say if you want to download the list of applications, you can go to the application tab and you can open the Rockstar thing. If you expand that, maximize that, you'll get the list of your apps and the list of what are all the apps that is available and which policies. I mean which SO protocol. That app, the particular apps support everything. You can able to see that from the report. This is a way that you can download another way to download the reports based on your requirement. We have discussed about the reports. Manual October redefined reports and also the report that is available for customization also. Both the ways are possible. And we have discussed about system logs. We'll see how we can monitor the import monitoring activity and administration activity. I think administration activity we have seen. Like if you are creating an app as an Okta admin, What are all the things that you can do? What are all the ways that you can get those reports that we have seen? And I'll tell you another thing, in Okta, only by default, 6 months of logs will be stored. You cannot store more than 6 months of data for logs in Okta. If you really want before 6 months log, you need to raise a case with Okta vendor and they will get it for you. You cannot see in the console the logs control system, log console. But there is another way. What you can do is you can integrate Okta with Splunk. There is a tool called Splunk for log monitoring. That tool will be used. In that Splunk, you can maintain until 2 years of logs. And if you want to get before 2 years a log, you can get in touch with the Splunk team, internal Splunk team, your organization Splunk team, and they can able to get you those details. That is possible. Whatever the event that is getting written here, right, in this Okta system log, it will be at the replica. Replica will be stored in the Splunk application, also Splunk data store also. You can even, instead of, it is difficult for you to search in Okta system log console. So you can get in touch with the Splunk team and you can ask them to get some report, or you will be getting some access to Splunk dashboard access or logs access. You can able to go ahead and download the blocks that you the way you want. Both the ways are possible. That is related to the logging and monitoring. Any questions on this topic? Logging and monitoring, that's clear right now. Now let's discuss about multi-factor authentication available. There are many organizations, I hope you know, like most of the organization that is available during this. Most of the organization available in the world. They started giving work from home during the pandemic time. Because of the pandemic, all the users started working from their home. During that, if you're working from your home, anyone can access your systems. Anyone can access your laptop, right? Anyone can. Even your family members, your friends, your neighbors, or anyone can able to access your system. And they can able to get the data that they want really from the organization. That is possible. But if you're working from office, if you're working from a secured org, only the people who have access to the org, those people will have can able to access your system. There, the restrictions will be limited. Oh, sorry, the threats will be limited, right? Only, let's say in your org, only 10 people are there. Only those 10 people may have access to your system. But if you're working from home, you cannot define the number of users that may have access to a system. To avoid these kind of threats, what all organizations started doing is they started implementing this multi-factor authentication. What is multi-factor authentication? Let's say in a legacy way, there is only one way of authentication, which means you need to enter your username and you need to enter your password. If you enter your username and password, you can able to log into any application. You can able to log into your system, and you can able to get all the data that a hacker, or that some intruder requests, he can do it. But if there is an additional factor check or additional authentication that will be mentioned, that will be blocked in the middle. Even though some of your family member got your user aid and password whenever you are typing on the keyboard, they have noted that. They have identified that user aid and password and they are entering it. This multi-factor authentication will give an additional step to verify themselves. Your family member or some neighbor got access your user aid and password. He is trying to log into an application in Okta in your system, in your laptop, but he will be not He will not be the person who is an authorized person to access it. How that can be verified? It can be done with help of multi-factor authentication. What is multi-factor authentication? The first type of authentication is password and user aid. That the user got that. The intruder got access already. Now there will be another authentication that will be sitting in the middle, which will call it as multi-factor authentication. For that authentication, we need some external factors. What is external factors? For example, a soft token, or in your mobile there is an app. Your mobile is a personal mobile. You are using your personal mobile. Or let's say there is a token like if you like, do you know about the VC token? And all like it's a hot token that has been given to you if you join an organization. In the token, there will be some set of numbers will be displayed. That numbers needs to be entered in the memo of a page to achieve that multi-factor authentication. Those are like some additional authentication mechanism to prove yourself that you are the appropriate person accessing the systems. For example, if your neighbor got your user aid and password. He is trying to access one application, but that application has been protected with multi-factor authentication which you have in your mobile. As a factor, like it can be Google Authenticator or Okta Verify or whatever the app it is, you have it in your mobile. Once the user logs into an application with the help of user aid and password, he will be prompted for multi-factor authentication at that time. He don't have that mobile device in his hand because it has been with you. The mobile device is with you. You will reject that request. If you reject that request, the intruder cannot able to access that application. The authentication will be blocked and it will be declined. The authentication will be declined. The user will not have access to that application. For this purpose, only multi-factor authentication has been identified, and this has been introduced in all the organization based specifically during this COVID time. I still remember that I was working for a banking client during that time, for we used to have a secure ORCE before COVID time, during that March 23rd and all. I used to work on the ORCE only. There is no multi-factor authentication enabled because we have a secure ORCE for our project alone, for our team alone. There is no need of doing this EMFA and all. But after immediately giving this work from home on a day itself, what we did, we are an Okta admin team. I am from out admin team, right? What we did is we have defined multiple MAFA policies. Multiple MAFA policies means if the user is working from home, he need to through this process, he need to go through this multi-factor authentication. Like there is some requirement that few set of people can able to use Okta Verify. Some people cannot able to use Okta Verify, and some country they can use Google Authenticator. Some country, for example China, and there is no Google, they cannot use Google Authenticated also. We have a lot of requirements that we need to take care of implementing that multi-factor authentication policy in our organization. From that time only, all this multi-factor authentication came into the picture, and it grown like anything. Hereafter, I am saying for sure, even if you are not working as an Okta admin, you might have know little bit about multi-factor authentication. You will be enforced to configure multi-factor authentication either from your personal device, personal mobile device, or with the help of Samsung's Opt. You know, in many ways you might have come across this during this pandemic time. That is very obvious. Any questions on this? You know how this one effect, authentication, works and what is the use of it? No clue. Here you can see the definition. like multi-factor authentication, is an added layer of security used to verify an end-user identity when they sign into an application. Whenever you are signing to an application, in addition to the user aid and password, there is some external factor. Either it can be a mobile application approval, or it can be a biometrics approval, or it can be an Visa token approval. All those things. You can see the image here. The first one will be the password. The second will be the extra factor. If both the process are done, then only you will get access. And as an admin, as an Okta admin, you can able to configure MFA either at organization level or at the application level. What is the difference between organization level and application level? For example, irrespective of your application, irrespective of the user's type, if any of the user who got access to Okta, he should configure or he should go through the multi-factor authentication each and every time he logs into Okta. You can give in that way, which means you are giving to all the organization user. You are not giving any specific users or not giving to any specific applications. That is possible. And second way is application-based MFA is also possible. For example, there might be many confidential information and might be many information that stores some personal data. If you want to access that application, you need to do multiple level of MFA. That it can be understand that the user is trying to access that sensitive application. Is an appropriate team member, appropriate person. You can define policies, multi-factor authentication policies specific to application level also. Both are possible. Both the ways are possible. And you configure MFA policy based on different factors. What are the factors? For example, location. How you can identify the location. For example, IP address. Let's say if a user is connecting from office, he will connecting from office with the help of predefined IPs because network team is the one who defined that IPs and all the network LAN. Everything has been already predefined. If you are connecting from your home, you are connecting from your own router, own Wi-Fi, hotel Wi-Fi or whatever the Wi-Fi it is. You are connecting from that. Then that IP is not tracked by the network team. Based on this IP, based on this differentiation, you can able to configure multi-factor authentication. That is possible. Second thing is group definition. What is group definitions? For example, if you are adding some set of users to some set of groups who are part of that group only should go through the multi-factor authentication. That way also, you can give there is a possibility for that and the authentication type. For example, if you have different types of users in Okta users, Active Directory users, lead app users, application master user, you want only the Active Directory user should go through the MFA process. You can define it. Or you want to give only the Okta users should go through the MFA process. You can define it based on different factors and different, items. You can able to define the MFA policies. Is it clear? No, this is somewhat. And another set of topics that we can see before. We are going to see how we can configure multi-factor authentication policies. The first one is sign-on policies. What is sign-on policies? Let's say, for example, you are signing into an application, but that application needs to be accessed only by mobile device. You can give a policy for that. You can define a policy for that. That is possible. And let's take another scenario. You are trying to access an application. If the application is accessed from inside Office, you should allow the user to access that application only after the multi-factor authentication has been checked. That is also possible. You can define such kind of policies also. That will call it a sign on policy based on the application sign in that the user is trying to do. You can define a policy that will see the user accounts only in Okta. You don't have any user accounts in Active Directory and you are maintaining. You are not maintaining any administered accounts. Now you need to define the password policy for your users. How that password policy looks like. For example, you should have minimum length requirement of 10 characters. In the 10 characters, there should be one special character. One capital letter should be there, one number should be there, and you should not define a common password. For example, welcome at 123 or test set 123, happy at 123. These are some common passwords. You should not enforce you should not allow the user to set this kind of passwords. All these steps where you can define in the password policies and app sign in policy. I think both are same. The sign on policies and app sign in policies are same, no difference. You can define based on the application specific. Also, you can define like this also. Let's say, for example, there is a Zoom app. If the user is trying to access that Zoom app, what you can do is, you can define MEFA policy for the Zoom app in a different way. For example, he can able to access only Google Authenticator while accessing Zoom, and he should have access to, he should go through the Okta Verify app or email authentication or SAML whenever he accesses a different application. Based on the application type that you are accessing, you can define different types of factor configuration. That is also possible, and I think MEFA policy will be a combination of everything. Sign in policy, sign on policy is everything. No need of worry that. Then the network policy, initially we discussed, right? You know how we can configure based on the network IP address. For example, if the user is coming from the predefined IP address, he will not needed to go through the MEFA process again. If he is, let's say, there is another scenario. If he is coming out of the office location or predefined IP address list, he cannot access any some applications. For example, the confidential applications. He cannot access that confidential application. If he is trying to access that application from outside the office network, these are the some additional network policies that you can able to define it in this. Is it clear? Any questions on this? Fine, these are the factors. I think it's not the only factors. There are multiple. There are more. Factors are also available. If you work on the enterprise account, you can able to see those factors. You will get a large number of factors available. For example, a soft token, hot token, and phone-based authentication and security questions. What is soft token? Soft token is nothing but a software application or a mobile application that is installed in your devices. With the help of that, up to the list of factors that is available in Okta. For example, there are different types like soft token, hot token, and the third-party apps. For example, this Cement Tech app, Visa Security app, and with the help of phone. If you have a phone, you can able to achieve it. For example, SAML and voice call. Likewise, you have different option to configure them for your organization. For example, if you are working for a banking project, you will not allow your employees to access their mobiles if they are working from their office. At that time, what you can do is you cannot go ahead with the soft-based token, a phone-based authentication. What you can do is you can give some kind of a hard token to them. For example, this is the hard token. looks like this. If you have seen this, you can give hot token like this and you can ask the user to perform the authentication for them. Likewise, based on the requirement, you can able to define it for your organization. And these are the factors that is available. Okta Verify. Okta Verify is an app that is available in both Android and iOS. You can install this app in your mobile and you can configure this Okta Verify for your multi-factor authentication. And same for Google Authenticators. Google Authenticator is open source. You can directly go ahead and download in your Play Store. Either it can be from Apple Play Store or you can download it from Google Play Store. Both the ways are possible. You can download it, you can configure it, and the next thing is phone. You need a phone and a number for that. You can configure your phone number on your own and you can able to get SIEMs. That is possible. And the other thing is this third party apps like Symantec apps. There is a company called Symantec. They have some kind of tokens. And there is a company called Secure8. It's a hard token and also there is a soft token also available from RISA Security and YubiKey. YubiKey is somewhat an digital aid. The digital aid will be generated all the time. Whenever you logs into the application, the factor will take place. Likewise, you have n number of options that you can configure for M of Okta. That is possible. And the final option is security questions. Security questions is nothing but the normal security questions. Like they will ask few security questions and you need to type answer for this and save it. Whenever you forgot password or whenever you try to log into that application, they will be asking that question again. You need to enter the answer. If that answer matches, then they will allow you to log into the tab or they will restrict you to do it. Now let's see how we can, configure that thing. Under security, you have three options. The first one is authenticators, second one is authentication policies, and third one is global session policy. I'll start from authenticators. What is authentication? In authenticators, you have two options. The first option is you can select which factor you want. For example, we have talked about all these factors, right? You can configure which factor you want for your organization. How you can do is if you go to Authentication Test tab, you can see an option called Setup. You can see an option to add authenticator. Click that. Add authenticator. You can see these. Many are available for developer instance. For developer, we have only limited, but for enterprise, you will have a big list. You can go ahead and add it. For example, Symantec Web. This is an app. This is an configurations that developer instance have access to. You can click add and you can do something. You have to upload some certificates. You need to upload some passwords and all. As of now, I have added Google Authenticator and Okta Verify and security questions, phone-based authentication and email-based authentication. Likewise, we can able to configure it for your organization based on your organization requirement and how that enrollment happens. For example, you can give some options to the users. What options? Let's say, for example, I want all my users to access either Okta Verify or Google Authenticator for sure. They need to use either Google Authenticator or Okta Verify. They should not select email. They can select, but they should select these two. I can define a policy like that. Let's see how I can do that. Let's say click Add Multi-Factor Policy. I can define something like, a policy for Google Authenticator and Okta Verify. You can mention some description and I'm assigning it to everyone. All the organization uses. Add everyone group. Here you can see the list of authenticators that we have added before. Just before we have added all the authenticators. Here you can see I'm going to select Okta Verify as a mandatory one and Google Authenticator as a mandatory one, which means whenever a user try to access any applications which we have configured this policy, they need to go with Okta Verify for sure or Google Authenticated with for sure. But they can configure email, they can configure phone, they can configure security question, but that is not mandatory. They should go with Google Authenticator and Okta Verify for sure. Now you can create that policy and there will be a rule. This rule is not mandatory. You can give some dummy value for that. Why I am saying this value? This rule is not mandatory. As of now, we are not going to discuss anything about the user location based or user app based configurations. This rule is specific to the user location based and user app based configurations. I'm just keeping it as it is default. One create, that's it. Now you have created a policy for Google Authenticator and Okta Verify. First thing is done. In under Authenticators tab, you will be given an option for two. The first one is setting up the factors for your organization. Second one is setting up, giving the policies. Which factors should the user select? For example, if you are giving an option to users, you can select whatever you want. What you can do is click edit. You can make everything as optional other than password. You cannot make it too optional because it is a mandatory one to log in password. Password is a mandatory one. Will we keep that as a required one and we'll move all the other steps to optional. That's it. Update policy. Now, before the user tries to log in and if they are prompted for this multi-factor authentication configuration, they can select any one factor from this. Likewise, we have created a policy. We have seen these two. Now let's talk about the authentication policies. The second one, authentication policies. Here, what you can do is you can create a policy specific to app and also you can create a policy based on different set of applications. For example, if user is trying to access Okta admin console, you can enforce some kind of policy specific to Okta admins. Or let's take an example, you want any one application should go through the multi-factor authentication, remaining all application. Leave it as it is. No need to change anything. You can do it. How we can do that? For example, create a policy like this, add policy. That policy will be for Zoom app. Whoever is accessing Zoom application, I want to go through this MIFA process. Click Save. Here you will be having an option to either you go with, here you have two buttons, rule button and another one is application button. In that application, I'm going to add that Zoom app because I want to apply this rule or policy for this Zoom app. Click Add Close. That's it. I have added the Zoom app. This app is going to go through this rule or policy that I'm going to create now. Go to rules and you can see a predefined rule already available. You can change it if you want. For example, right now what it says is if any request comes for this Zoom application, then access with access will be allowed only with two-factor types. First factor is either a first factor with the help of password and Google Authenticator or Okta Verify. It's a mandatory rule. You can edit it if you want. You can make just password. Also, if you select like this here, you can see if any requests come, then the access will be allowed only with the password. I'll show you the difference. Let me delete this first. Password is required. No factor setting too. I got that. Here you can see for Okta admin console we have given a policy. That's the reason it is taking me to that. Let me disable this first. That's the reason. If we go to give the configuration that whenever he accesses Zoom application, he should go through the MFA process, how we can do that? Go to authentication policies. We have already created a Zoom app policy. Edit that action. Here you can see it is just password only. Now I am selecting multi-factor authentication password plus another factor. Another factor in the sense and an additional factor. It can be MFA, it can be Okta verified, it can be security questions or anything. That's it, no other changes. I'm just mentioning every single sign on every sign in attempt. Click Save. And let's say you want to define MFA policy for Okta Admin Console. This is a predefined policy that is default rule available. You can go ahead and delete some C, add something like Click Edit. Instead of just password, I'm enforcing with password from password with IDP factor. Sorry, password IDP with any MFA factor. Oh, here you can see your organization authenticators that satisfy this requirement. Password should be entered and any of these three should be entered. Then only he can able to access the admin console. Now let me save this and in a global way. I'm keeping this thing as password only. I'm going to change everything back that I can show you how the global solution policy works. I'm editing this. It is only password. Fine, and where is it? It have both. Let me edit and update it to password. Click Save. What authentication policies I have? Now I don't have any authentication policies that enforce for MFA, right? I have removed all the policies that I'm configured. Now let me go ahead. I'll show you the decision policy for this use for this Okta tenant and let's see how it behaves. Click Add Policy. Define something like global policy. Mention some description. I want all my users, everyone uses to go through this MFA policies. I have created a policy and it is asking for rule. Everyone rule. I can define all the list of details here. For example, if the user IP is coming from zone, this zones and all I will tell you. Just keep, don't need to get confused. As of now, I'll come directly here. I just need to establish the user session with any factor used to meet the authentication policy requirement, which means I am going to enforce all the users to configure at least one FFA factor other than password. I'm saying, and here I'm mentioning a multi-factor authentication should go through. It is a required and at every single sign on, and these things are session management. Don't need to worry. Create room. That's it. I have created a global policy. Now let me try to access all these applications from again. Open the session. New session. Open the dev instance and I have been landed in the Zoom app page. Is it clear? But for if we set up like in a global, that means not required to each an application, individual application, not required to set up that authenticator. No, I'm not saying it is not required. It is not needed actually. But if still some people ask like, no, they want specific MFA policy for their application, even though if you define global policy, you can define policies for application, also optional, right? If they want, they can do. Yes, it completely depends on the organization decision. Some organization will say like way to give multiple MFA policies, multi-factor authentication factors. Let's give only one policy that is applicable to all the users, all the sessions. Some organization will accept that. Some organization will say like no, or some of my users, some project users cannot able to access mobile. For that users, for that application, I need to use YubiKey or some ISA token. ID, something like that. They will give some requirement during that. Only you need to go ahead with an individual application based policy or some. Some company will say that no need to give global policy. If give policy for each and every application, each and every objects for admin console. Give some policy for a application, Zoom application. Give another policy. Likewise, they will give that kind of requirement also. It completely depends on your organization, but both the ways are possible. Let me update the content today. What are the things that we have covered? We discussed about a rockstar. MEF and Okta factors. What are all the factors that you can set up for your organization? That is done. I think we have covered. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.